The Girls Who Grew Bigger by Leila Mottley is a visceral, lyrical, and deeply affecting novel that follows the lives of three teenage girls, navigating the sharp edges of girlhood identity and survival in an urban America that often overlooks or punishes them for existing loudly, freely, and visibly. Set in present-day Oakland, the story centers around Neve, Kiara, and Joni, three girls growing up too fast in a world that expects them to be small, silent, and compliant. Instead, they grow bigger, not just in body, but in voice, presence, and defiance. Nevea, the emotional core of the story, is a 15-year-old with an aching soul and a poetic mind. She watches the world with quiet intensity, absorbing pain, beauty, and injustice in equal measure. After her father is incarcerated and her mother disappears into addiction, Neve is forced to become a caretaker for her younger brother and herself. With school offering little protection and her neighborhood riddled with economic tension and fractured systems, Neve turns inward, writing poems and journaling to keep from disappearing completely. She is introspective, raw, and haunted by what she cannot say out loud. Kiara, her closest friend and emotional counterweight, is fiery and bold. Her anger is her armor. At 16, she has already experienced the predatory gaze of adults, failure of social services, and the silence of institutions meant to protect her. When her family is evicted, Kiara drops out of school and begins exchanging favors for money, not because she wants to, but because she feels there is no other way. Her choices are not framed as morality tales, but as reflections of brutal options. What she wants more than anything is to be seen as human, not criminal, not victim, just a girl trying to survive. Joni, the third thread in this intimate tapestry, is newer to the group, but just as deeply affected by the world around her. Her story offers a lens into the healthcare system, as she grapples with a chronic condition that is misdiagnosed and dismissed for years. Joni's journey is quieter than the others, but no less powerful. Her presence offers the reader moments of grace, empathy, and radical vulnerability, especially in scenes where the girls care for each other physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Together, these three become more than just friends. They become a lifeline, an ecosystem of resistance and love. As the novel unfolds, their paths diverge and converge with heart-wrenching intensity. Kiara's underground hustle draws police attention, and eventually, she is caught in a sting operation targeting young black girls involved in sex work. Her arrest is treated not with compassion but with criminalization. Nevea, reeling from the betrayal of a teacher she once trusted, spirals into isolation but finds catharsis through art. She begins performing her poetry at underground open mics, slowly reclaiming her voice. Joni, after a near-death experience in the hospital, becomes an advocate for herself and others, writing in on medical negligence in marginalized communities. The climax of the story arrives not with a single explosive event, but with a series of quiet reckonings. Kiara is released from juvenile detention after public outcry and grassroots activism sparked by a viral video of her arrest. Neve's poetry is published in a local zine, and she's offered a mentorship that could change her trajectory. Joni's article gains traction, drawing attention to widespread medical racism. Yet none of these victories feel clean or easy. Each girl still carries scars, visible and invisible, from a world that asked too much and gave too little. In the final chapters, the girls reunite at a rooftop gathering, overlooking the city that both broke and built them. They talk about what it means to grow bigger in a world that constantly tries to shrink you. They laugh, cry, and sit in silence. Each girl changed, but not defeated. There's no dramatic rescue, no fairy tale ending. Instead, there's something more real, healing, a beginning, a breath. At its core, The Girls Who Grew Bigger is about girlhood as resistance. Leila Mottley weaves together themes of systemic injustice, sexual exploitation, bodily autonomy, its power of female friendship, with aching tenderness and unflinching honesty. The novel interrogates how black and brown girls are too often asked to carry burdens beyond their years and how, even under immense pressure, they still bloom. It is a story about survival, yes, but also about reclamation, about daring to take up space, about the uncontainable bigness of girls who refuse to be erased. Motley's prose is lush and urgent, combining poetic imagery with grounded realism. Her characters are unforgettable not because they are perfect, but because they are real. They are complicated, wounded, brave, and messy. The novel reminds us that justice doesn't always come from the courts or the cops. Sometimes it comes in the form of a friend who listens, a stranger who believes you, or the moment you decide to tell your story out loud. The Girls Who Grew Bigger is more than a coming-of-age story. It's a reckoning. A portrait of resistance wrapped in the fragile, beautiful armor of girlhood. And in the end, it leaves us not just with heartbreak, but with hope that these girls, and so many like them, will continue to grow bigger, bolder, and more unignorable than ever before.